Okay. Hi, Vincent.
Hello, how are you?
Good. How are you?
Not bad.
Good. Well, thank you for being willing to do this interview with me. I know that you've got a lot of things that you have going. You're busy. You've got your podcast that you're working on and Gone Cold podcast. So thank you again. And
Absolutely.
just talking a little bit about how we met, or kind of let our audience know a little bit of how we got connected.
Okay.
And so I reached out to you, I think it was in the fall of 2023. I think it was, if I'm remembering right, because it's been a roller coaster ride. All kinds
I believe you're right.
all kinds of crazy things have happened. But I had gotten to the point, I think, so for the most part, the news reporters and the people that they would do little stories on Elisa, like on anniversary pieces, but her story was never really covered. And I had tried reaching out, trying to get somebody to tell Elisa's story. I was reaching out to some national shows, the crime shows, and I couldn't get anyone to respond. So I finally got to a point. I think somebody had talked to me about podcasts before, and I didn't do anything. And I think that was like a few months before that. And then finally, I got to the point where what the heck? I'm going to go ahead and reach out to a podcaster. And I was listening to the Gone Cold Text podcast, and I just been listening for a while, and I thought, you know what? I'm going to reach out to I'm going to reach out to them and see if they'd be willing to tell Elisa's story. And the first time that I reached out to you, I still remember the email and the response that you were absolutely. I would love to tell Lisa's story. So the podcasters have been amazing in this. I don't know if you realize how much you do as podcasters. It's more than just telling the story. You're actually you care about what you're talking about. You care about these cases, and you care about the families. So that's how we met. And those five episodes of Gone Cold podcast have been listened to over and over again, the ones on Elisa's case. And I never dreamed that it would be five full episodes and take us to where we are now, where other people are listening. And now I have podcasters reaching out to me saying, we'd like to tell Elisa's story. We listened to Gone Cold
Good.
podcast. So you telling Elisa's story the way you did was just a domino effect of then all the things now that have come of it. So I can't thank you enough for that. And it's still fun to go back and listen to all those episodes. I still listen to them, and some of them make me laugh. When you're talking about our story, and then when you had Debbie on. So if
Yeah.
if
Yeah.
so um okay, if anybody wants to listen to Gone Cold podcast episodes 1 through 5 of the Lisa Robertson case, it's an awesome listen. So okay, I've rambled. I have a tendency to do that. But
It's okay.
why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself, Vincent, and what you do, a little bit about your podcast and how you got started?
Okay. Okay. Well, yeah, my name is Vincent, and we've been doing the podcast since July of 2017. So, wow, almost 8 years now. So, um, and we tell the stories of unsolved murders and missing persons cases primarily. We There's a few different kind of mysteries here and there in the podcast, but that's primarily it. You know, uh, Throughout Texas, wherever the case takes us, that's what we do. However many episodes it takes us to do it, that's what we do. Um, yeah, it's been quite a journey. So
Well, I've listened to quite a few of your the crime stories, and some of them have actually then piqued my interest, and I've been able to connect with other people and other cases, family members, because it's a network. These families who are missing their loved ones, or who have lost a loved one through an act of violence. You need each other. These families need each other because there's
absolutely.
there's no guidebook for any of this. We're all flying, trying to figure this out by the seat of our pants. And I commend you for helping in doing that and bringing awareness to these cases. Because for a long time, we didn't know where to turn. We honestly really had nowhere to turn until 2023, and it just kind of put us in the path of other people and organizations, and has brought Elisa's case so much more awareness that we just so much awareness than has been done in the past 35 years. So it's been
Yeah,
amazing. Um,
that's great. That's great.
yeah. Would you do you want to tell us a little bit about the advocacy work? I kind of jumped a little bit on that, the advocacy work that you do for the family of missing and murdered loved ones, and how you, um, how you got involved.
Yeah, advocacy work, we don't do as much as we would like, that's for sure. There's not enough hours in the day.
Right.
Both we both have full-time jobs, Erica and I, so unfortunately that takes us away from the podcast as well. But you know, one of the reasons we started Gone Cold was because you know, we saw these cases out there, particularly when we started, it was Carla Walker. That was the case we saw that just seemed solvable to me. I think they're all solvable, really. And I just realized there's nobody out there doing these stories. There's nobody out there telling these stories. And I didn't know when we got started, but it seems to me like these families would want their stories to be told and these cases to be kept alive. How else are they going to get solved? Um, so, when we first started reaching out to families, it was it was kind of an ethical crapshoot to me because I didn't know. I didn't know if family members were going to want that or not. Luckily, every family member we've ever contacted has been warm and receptive to what we do. They may not want to be on the show, and that's just fine. But um, kind of our thing about advocacy is doing as much as we can for the families, for the stories, um, even, and that means even after the stories are told. Um, if you come to me and you need something, I'll do everything I can to do it. Um, I don't, I'm not just do a case and then I'm done. Um, so, we used to be able to donate a lot more. Times have been a little tough here lately, but um, when you're making money from the podcast and stuff, it's nice to donate when you can. Certainly. Um, I think that really is it for our advocacy is just, really being there for the families and um, telling the stories, being there after. Um, I'm still close friends with several, almost all the families we've worked with, I still talk to, communicate with. It's not something that just goes away for us. So, you know,
Right.
our heart and soul is in it. So,
And I could tell with that, with how much you help and how involved you are, and it doesn't take much. It honestly doesn't take a lot. Where the families are just needing a voice or needing someone to
yeah,
carry the message and carry the story, the case. It's more than just a case. It's a story. It's somebody. It's a family. It's lives that have been affected and hurt. And by having just that one voice, again, I can't stress enough how much that has meant to our family, and just saying, hey, we've got your back, and we're gonna tell your story, and we're gonna help. We're gonna be just as loud. And so
yeah,
it's amazing what how much that has already done to so uh,
that's awesome.
I applaud you. I applaud you for everything you've done. So
Well, thank you.
What do you usually when you're getting ready to talk about a case or cover it, what do you do to prepare, or what are some of the challenges that you run into, um, finding the information just in order to get ready to tell the story?
Researching and
Mhm.
yeah. Yeah, it can be a challenge at times. We usually get started by pulling up some newspaper articles and things like that, making requests to police departments for files and stuff. But they don't like to share their cold cases, so we don't get those very often. Sometimes.
Right. We've noticed that the police departments aren't very forthcoming and as helpful, and I'm not the only. It seems like every other family that I've talked to has run into the same roadblocks when it comes to requesting information or records. They are just, this is ours, and that's what's so sad. This is your family, and this means everything to you, and nobody's going to fight harder than that family, the family of the missing person. And for you, for a law enforcement agency to push out the family and to me, again, there's just never any enough words to describe how painful that is, how hurtful, how frustrating. It's everything wrapped into one. Just you're fighting, and you just want your loved one, whoever it is, to be just as important to that law enforcement agency as they are
Yeah,
to us, to the family. And I just don't understand why it's so difficult. I know there's a lot of red tape, and a lot of cold cases, as you're aware, are the most difficult to solve and to work on.
yeah, yeah, and that's one of the problems we run into, especially if a case doesn't have a lot of information. Um, Sometimes we'll talk to family members who, I mean, they know the basics of the case, but they might not know much more than some schmuck who read a newspaper article. They might not know much at all because the police aren't communicating. Uh, so at times it gets very. We've not done cases before, just unable to find information. And
Wow.
that's the worst. That's the worst feeling in the world. To try and help somebody. I have somebody contacting me right now, and I can't find a single article about the case. And police don't want to give me anything. So um, and they weren't around. It's an old case, and
Mhm.
it's this person's aunt, and they weren't around, back then. So they don't have all the information. They don't have details about the case. They don't know what happened. Um, so it's very frustrating for us. I can't imagine what it's like for them. Um, if police could be a little more involved, I know we're just podcasters and that's cool. I get that. But, I've had some, well, like, Linda Thompson's talked to me. Um, it means a lot to have current and ex police officers, detectives talk. It means a lot to the family,
Mhm.
just them putting out that effort to say, "Hey, this is, I'm the cold case detective now on this. Here's what we're doing." It's not that difficult, um, and I think it shows the family that they are willing to help. They're willing to get themselves out there. But unfortunately, most of the time it's not like that. They don't want to talk, or um, it's just impossible getting a hold of them, or something. So, um, as that goes back to what you were saying, I think it's just, it would be disingenuous to say that, oh, the cops don't care, because of course there are cops that care. Of course there are. And it's just a matter of, do they have time? Do they have resources? Um, are they, good detectives comes into play too. So, um, I'm losing track, definitely from the question, but um,
No,
yeah, yeah,
you brought up a good point about not all when you say, they don't care. You There's so much more that and without and this is where the communication comes in, or a victim advocate or somebody to say, let's talk to the family so they know that we're doing this, or that we're working on this, or we may not be able to give you all this information. There are things they can't talk to us about. And then when you have a cold case, unless you have either a dedicated detective or a dedicated cold case unit that is either this is your job. You're gonna look at these cold cases. It's almost impossible. They still have their regular job that they have to do. I understand that, and I understand that there are things that may have been done um, 30 years ago, or even longer, that it's not fair to always judge. What was done back then by today's standards. There's so much more, and things that we didn't know or we didn't see. And there are things that we didn't always know what was going on in the background. But I think that's where it's always important to talk to the family and just keep that line of communication, even if you can't tell them everything. Why not let the family know, hey, we care about this case. We want to get this solved. And in my case, with Captain Rhodes, who was over Lisa's case up until this last year, when he went to another, he actually, we thought he retired, but he went to another police department, I think. What he had told me was, it was just very, it wasn't, we care about Elisa, and we want to work as hard as we can to help solve this crime for your family. It was, you're not the priority. My priority and it's my obligation is to Elise. And it was just the way he said it. And I think that's what set in motion how we ended up that meeting was, why are they treating us like this? You
Yeah.
may think, you have your opinion. You may think that there might be family involvement, but all the more reason, I think, to have a family involved, because you should keep them closer. I just could never understand how um, why we were treated that way. It's just beyond me. But um, yeah, that's.
Oh, that's the wrong thing to say to somebody. You don't say this is about Elisa, not you. Well, of course it's about Elisa. Of course it's about Elisa.
Mhm,
But justice is for the living too. You know what I mean?
mhm.
So it is for you guys too.
It it
It's
it
it really is.
it, can.
Uh,
This is something that it's in our everyday. There's not one day,
yeah,
and this is literally, there is not one day that I don't think about my sister, and the same with my mom, and the same with my family. There's just never a day we can have a great day, and her memory, she's just always there. So for people to say this isn't about you, oh, it's about our family. It's about us. It's 100% about our experience, our loss. And yeah, it is hurtful when people say things like that. And just I just think that having a little bit of empathy for the families, and a little bit of tact when dealing with
yeah.
these families would go a long way. And there wouldn't be such a big backlash, because the only our only choice and option is then to go to the media and to just blast,
Yeah,
and share it in a not very positive light when we're being treated that way. So as,
absolutely.
as you've seen and experienced with some of these cases.
Yeah.
Um, what were the challenges specifically with Elisa's case?
Well, there were a lot, but most of them came in the form of Debbie Green, really. But um, the challenges were the police challenge was there. They didn't want to talk. They didn't want to even give a statement. I appreciate a statement, just a simple statement. Hey, it's being worked on. Things. Hey, it's an open case. Of course it is. It's always open, but are they working on it? I mean, when you don't get that answer, I don't know. It's frustrating because that's one thing you want to come back to the family and say, look, the cops told us they're working on it. They're not just blowing smoke or whatever.
Mhm.
Um, so that, the communication, lack of communication was definitely a challenge. But I will say with Elisa's case, I had you, I had your mother, um, I had Holly, her friend, I had people willing to speak about the case, and that means everything, and that certainly makes my job easier.
Mhm.
Um, so there were a lot of Elisa's case came. Now it became difficult, but it started well. Everything fell into place. Um, I had you guys. I had enough articles, newspaper articles and stuff to kind of sort out the truth mostly.
Mhm.
Um, so everything was there in Elisa's case except for police cooperation um, and then there's again Debbie, and that was kind of the challenge. That's when the challenge came through.
Mhm.
Um, was the story as she likes to tell it is like it doesn't make sense, and that was a frustrating thing right away. But I knew Debbie was a potential source of information.
Mhm.
Um, Unfortunately, that didn't work out so well for me, but I felt like, and I still feel like she's a potential source for something, some kind of information that we don't know.
Mhm.
Um, maybe the police know, maybe they don't. I don't know, but um, I certainly don't know if her father is involved. But if he is, um, I feel like there may be a family secret happening. I don't know. Um, but yeah, Debbie coming in is what made the case difficult for us. Uh, just being loud online. She was, I know, getting to you quite a bit, and that's frustrating too to us. And it's not what we intended, and sometimes it feels like it's our fault.
No,
So, um, because
we
I didn't pull any punches from from Debbie
no.
really when we talked. So, um,
No, you and I feel bad. I do feel bad. So we've been used to Debbie for a long time, and this was one of those things where it's a beehive, and you kind of push it, and when it falls, and the bees go everywhere. And this was what this was. This was already there. We just kind of unintentionally released the Kraken. And
yeah,
so then she went after you, and then another online bully, the Christine Pena, went after you also. Misty Young went after you. You are a podcaster, you're professional, you're doing your job. And in the process of advocating and telling Elisa's story, you're now being attacked. Horrible things are being said about you online. And anybody who has been involved in this case, the same thing has happened to them. It's kind of slowed down a little bit, but it almost felt like the harder that we were advocating for Lisa, the harder they were coming after us to make us go away. They were
absolutely,
actively trying to get us to shut down and go away. It was a
absolutely,
very calculated, very planned the way that this all came at us, and it brings all kinds of other questions. What is the motive? What is Debbie's motive behind all of this? Insanity. The other people, I hate using the word crazy because we can all use it and it's just so, but when you can
yeah,
have your opinion, and when people, if I were to say that you're crazy because you think there's family involvement, then that's not a fair thing to say either, because you can have your opinion. You can think how you want. It's how you react to people, how you act, how you talk to the family, how you attack. That's when you look crazy, when you're
yeah,
attacking the family. People who say that they are friends or were friends of Elisa's, that were friends of the family, that they're attacking us. So I don't know what is going on in this little warped little group, just a bunch of bullies and trolls is the best way to explain it. That anytime we would put something out to advocate for an event or something, there they were.
Yeah.
I will say it's slowed down, and I think the reason why is because when we talk, we mean what we say and we do what we say we're going to do. We're not a bunch of loudmouths in the background like some of these people are. And it's all about Elisa and I'll do anything, but they're crickets when it comes to actually stepping up and being there. And they're nowhere to be found. So we've gotten some things done. And I think they're finally realizing we've got some people that are actually, backing and supporting us, and we've gotten some things done. That could be the only explanation. But I still am shocked and appalled by how they went after you for, I am so sorry. That is
Oh
just,
no, it's it. I mean, I won't lie. There were moments when it was funny. So
yeah.
it
And
was what it was.
that's what my
Um,
husband would say, and my brother, they would say they're of a different mindset. They would tell me these are just a bunch of loudmouths. You need to just laugh at them
yeah,
because it's just ridiculous seeing how crazy they are. And I did. I've learned a lot since then. I try not to let those things get to me as much. I try to just block it out. I've learned. I've had to because it was hard. So I
totally.
it's funny watching crazy go bonkers.
Yes, yes, it is. It is. And that, the thing that really got me, I mean, it's more of a detriment to the case because you couldn't even talk sense into them. That's kind of the main issue. They couldn't back up any of their points, and they came to you. I mean, on Elisa's case, you have a pretty good amount of witnesses that saw her that day. Pretty, I mean, more than a lot of cases. So we know when and where she was heading,
Mhm.
you know. So for Debbie to say she never left the house is in itself just, it makes no sense because so many people saw her leave the
Mhm.
house, so many neighbors. Um, so when they're coming at it from a place of, um, well, it's a place where no facts lie. I mean, they're not pulling into the case from facts. It's all from emotion.
Mhm.
But why? I just don't understand why.
Mhm. Mhm.
Uh, that's kind of always been through this whole thing with the Debbie Green thing. I don't understand why. If it's because just simply because there was suspicion about her dad.
Mhm.
Um, I don't know.
We're,
I
we're
don't know.
we're still trying to find out the answer to that. That was the only thing that made sense to us. Why would she be doing it this hard if there was something that she was afraid of something coming out? I think
Yeah,
we'll never know because we can't have a real conversation with her and her whether her mind is gone. I don't know. I don't know what it's all about. But there has always been this strange, and I think I talked to you a little bit about this competition. I don't even know what to call it. This dynamic between me, Elisa, and Debbie. And Elisa was the older one. For some reason, Debbie and I had this. If Debbie wasn't the center of attention, and if somehow I triggered her.
wild.
When when we were little, if it was mainly me that she would come after, if she had anything could set her off, and so I don't know if she was jealous that I was there, and Elisa was, I don't know, and I think this is just kind of carried over from our childhood, and
Um,
now she sees it as I'm getting this attention where it's not me getting this attention. I'm bringing this attention for Elisa's case. So in her
yeah,
mind, I'm doing this for. Of course, you heard that I'm being paid, I guess, from all these interviews and podcasts. I have so much money.
yeah, yeah,
I just it's still hard to understand, and maybe it's as simple as a mental illness. I don't know, but um,
yeah. I don't know either. Yeah, it's hard to
and
say.
what was your whole take on the 2016 Texas EquiSearch debacle, as Linda calls it? What were you able to find out? Because we're still to this day, here we are almost 10 years later, and we still don't have a real straight answer of what happened. We've gotten a little more information by talking to people
Mhm.
indirectly, but we still don't know how it all how all of that happened, how it turned around on us so drastically.
Yeah, that's something that, as far as what I could dig up, I saw no reason for, I don't know if Rhodes and DeLuna, is that the Texas Ranger's name?
Yes.
I don't know if they came after you and your mom so hard because maybe they felt like nobody ever had,
Mhm.
or if or if they were really buying um, Robert Bob Green's story,
Mhm.
um, which I don't know if he's actually told police himself, because according to Debbie, he won't talk to police. That's what she told me.
Mhm.
If they are going by what Bob Green said, they're going off secondhand information
Mhm.
anyway through Debbie,
Mhm.
according to Debbie. So I don't know why 2016 happened. I can't find the only thing I know is it's been reported that nothing was found. It's been reported by police that nothing was found.
Mhm.
So for there to still be something up in the air is insane. It's hurtful to y'all. Um, I don't know. I don't know what to say about the whole X search thing. Um, I don't think anything was found. There's no evidence that anything was found. Um, the people in that house, I've tried talking to them a little bit, um, and they kind of turned on me too. But they're tired of it, I guess, so I understand. But they say that they know she's there because they see her, and that is, I don't know what to say about that either. Um, but I know if they had found something that there would be more activity happening at that house. It wouldn't have just ended. Oh, we found something. Okay, stop.
Mhm.
Everybody stop. That,
Mhm.
that wouldn't have gone down like that. So I don't think they found anything. I don't know if they didn't want to say anything because they wanted to save face for
Mhm.
the way they treated you and Marina. Um, if they didn't want to go back on that, if they, it's hard to justify the way they treated y'all if they found nothing.
Mhm. And when I talk to people, I've talked to other law enforcement, people from law enforcement, Richard, other people. If this is something that does it make any sense? And I always go back to logic, and this is where my husband's in was also in law enforcement. So it's like when I'm so sorry, I shouldn't laugh, but when we talk of it's sorry, when we talk about
No,
how ridiculous it is, people don't just go to a they don't search a spot and then say that they believe someone they found what they believe to be remains and there was a cadaver dog hit and there's an anomaly and then and then it's never pushed forward to I was talking to a former Mike Luna worked with the police department and he had talked about
oh,
how
we saw that. Yeah.
yes, and he had talked about how he was talking to Rhodes and saying, well, if we have enough evidence, we have what then we can get a search warrant and continue the search. Well, if that was the case, why was that not done? Why, if that was the case? So the initial part of it was just the owners giving permission, but when they thought they said they found something, bone fragments or where was the next step? How does it
Yeah.
just end? And then you see on they had talked to the news, and reports were of these rumors of remains being found were false. And but then here we are, fast forward to 2024, talking to uh, Chief Blanchard. He's telling me there is reason to believe that there is family involvement in Elisa's disappearance and likely her death. When we sat down with him in August of 2024, he told me, he's told us a couple different things. Told us that they didn't have the funding to continue searching for Lisa's remains, but he also told us they couldn't continue searching because it would compromise the foundation of the home. So you're telling me now we have no closure, nothing. You're just telling me that's it, done and over. You're guilty. We believe you're guilty, but we're not going to resolve this. We're not going to go back. We're not going to, that's just it. And that's what we have to live with. That's what we, as the family, the community, and the people who live in that home, that's what we have to live with. How does that work? How does that work in the real world? And have you ever heard of anything so crazy?
I've never heard of that. I've yet to run up. I've We've not run up on a case that they know the remains are somewhere and they didn't go after them. So if they're so confident, they would have gone after the
Mhm.
remains. I don't understand why they wouldn't. They used the foundation as an excuse, but excuse me, this is a 6 foot by 6 foot patch of concrete thereabouts
Mhm.
that they're
That's that's what
supposedly.
Debbie
Yeah.
said at one point, but then she had also said that it was no, it wasn't just a six by it was a full.
Oh, okay.
Well, we can't get we keep getting all these different answers from Debbie. It's different from day to day, and the really frustrating part is why were we not asked where we lived in that house about these two garages, and we had two finished attached garages
Mhm.
attached to the home, concrete poured. That was done in the 60s. And then to hear that there was some kind of addition done to the home, and close proximity of when Elisa disappeared, and a slab, a single mom, and we have no money. We don't even own that house. We were renting,
Mhm.
we were on housing assistance. So there's no way we could have even done that. It wasn't our house to do that with. And those are things you could be kicked out of a home if you're not following um,
Yep.
and taking care of the house. And nobody would listen. They would not listen. They will not listen to us. I don't know where the addition, the house looks the same to me, but for it is now painted different. I don't know what was done on the inside. I've never looked inside since we left in 1991, so I don't know how it looks there. But on the outside, there are no additions. The everything that was where it was is where it was when we left. So I don't know what they're talking about. I've heard about a carport. Are they
Yeah.
meaning a garage, or are they meaning like a detached carport garage? I don't know what they mean by this, and they won't talk to us.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm still at a loss for um, the whole thing. Just reminds me of the game of telephone that we played in kindergarten. You start in one, you say one thing, and then by the time it's down here, it's a whole different, it sounds
Yeah.
nothing like what it was over here. And
Yeah.
I think that's what happened. You just had too many people um, saying things that just didn't make any sense. And instead of going to the source, to the family, or even to the owners, uh, maybe
Right.
they might have
Right.
still been alive, the people who owned it. I don't know, or um,
Yeah.
it's just, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, that's true. And even if the owners say had kids, their kids might have recalled.
Mhm.
Um, yeah, that's odd. And I think about too the amount of people who would have had to been in on the conspiracy.
Mhm.
Like it's vast, there's just no way. You're
Mhm.
talking about the cops, You're talking about old Texas Rangers. You're talking
Mhm,
about all the dog handlers.
mhm, mhm,
I mean, so all these people were in on the conspiracy.
mhm. My,
There's, it's impossible.
mhm.
Number one, I don't buy that Linda Thompson would do this because
No.
I've researched some of her old police cases and stuff, and she's the real deal. You know,
Mhm,
she, I mean, she's put away a cop who was a friend of hers. She
mhm,
had to put away for killing his wife.
mhm.
So this isn't a woman who is letting people get away with this, especially a kid.
Right,
So the grand conspiracy just doesn't make any sense to me. That alone, it, all these people knew, yet nobody has spoke.
right.
Nobody's talked all this time.
Mhm.
It doesn't, I don't buy it. I don't buy it at all. So
No,
besides the fact that the timeline doesn't make any sense. So and the
no.
witnesses don't make any sense. So
Mhm.
nothing fits with that scenario really.
And
Um,
those are the voices that are being drowned out. Those are the voices, you have Linda Thompson and this is everyone has that one case. This is Mike and Linda's case. They're never going they still are not at peace with this. It's
Mhm.
just it's something that still haunts them. And you've got Jennifer Taylor. I finally was able to interview her and get her version or of what happened, talking to Elisa. But those are the voices that keep getting drowned. And I think you even said that in the podcast. Those are the voices that keep getting drowned out. The people that actually have the information. And these
Yeah.
people over here following all these, Debbie and the crazies over here that they don't listen to the people that have the information. I thought, what
Mhm.
did I do to these people? What did my family do to these people to deserve this crazy, I know you get trolls anywhere in any case, every case, you get these trolls, but it's a little different than actively
It's a
going
lot
after the
different.
family. And,
Yeah.
and so I still at
Your
a loss.
situation, yeah, your situation is very unique with Debbie. It's very
Mhm,
unique.
mhm,
And Debbie and her crowd, the other people too. Um, yeah, it's I don't know, like you talked about earlier, whatever personal stuff y'all had when y'all were kids. I mean, how does I don't know how that lasts, but obviously something did last um all these years. But it's what you have there is way different than
mhm,
what we usually deal with. I've dealt with some mentally questionable people plenty of times, but it's usually just kind of like, hey man, here's my theory, and it's usually some way out there theory. It's not somebody who's following the family around saying you're murderers, you know.
mhm,
Even
mhm.
if they believe the family did it, they're not going to the family. They're coming to me saying, "Hey, man, you got to look at this."
Thank you.
So your case is a lot different. It's a lot different than pretty much anything we've dealt with as far as that goes. Uh, it's it's not cool. It's
Mhm.
like I don't know how you do it. I don't know how you deal with it.
I honestly, I watch so many, of course, with what we've experienced. I watch a lot of crime shows, documentaries, and the ones that I watch that have to do with either a toxic or psychotic either girlfriend or boyfriend or something. This would be one of those stories that you would find on those shows with this situation with
Yeah,
Debbie. So I just I try to just keep my head up and try not to engage anymore. It never went anywhere with those type of people. It does not matter what you say, what proof you provide, what anything that you say that makes no sense.
yeah,
They are not going to look at logic and reason. They're just not. Their brains aren't. So why sit and argue? Why sit and
yeah,
fight? Why sit and defend? Why sit, you know, we know who we are and our family and friends know who we are
yeah,
and then that's all that matters. So I think that's kind of what I think has pushed them away a little bit. Now we've got the Texas Attorney General. We've got all these cold case organizations helping us. And
Awesome.
so, I mean, when you have that many people backing you up and supporting you, then it kind of makes them kind of go back in their cave, I think, and just shut down.
Yeah,
But
yeah,
you know,
yeah.
and I'm not saying that to pat myself on the back. I think this is just, our hard work, as a family, as a team, is our hard work to make all of this happen. So we've had some setbacks, and with, the Texas Attorney General and all the bureaucratic BS. And so I just try not to, I'll take a dip, but then I'll come back up. So um, I think that says a lot for what we've done in the last few years.
Yeah, I've been very impressed with your kind of transition into, and like a full-time advocate for Elisa. Like you do a lot. It's
Mhm.
impressive. It's very impressive.
Thank
So
you.
I just want you to know that, it's I've sit here and watched you work hard for a few years now, and it's impressive. It's cool.
Thank you. I've been piggybacking off of the other families. You've got Robin Peary and Arlene Arbison, and I've just
Mhm,
kind of been
mhm.
watching them, Sarah Turney, and everything that they do. I'm like, oh my gosh, I need to be doing that. When they do the next thing, that's what I need to be doing. Then, and so I've just been watching and learning by the seat of my pants, because there's nobody ever thinks that they're going to be an advocate for a missing loved one or murdered loved one.
Right.
Nobody wants that to happen in their life. So you just kind of get pushed into it. And I think I talked about this on one of my other interviews with our attorney, Steve Kerrigan. Sometimes I don't know, I don't understand a lot of what's happening, but he just kind of, when it's time to go on stage, you just get out there, and you know, don't know what you're saying half the time, but you just put it together and ad lib it as it's happening. I don't even know some days how I do it, but I'm just taking it each day at a time. And um,
Well,
I
you're doing a great job.
thank you. I wanted to cover, so we talked a little bit about Debbie, and any thoughts about the bullying and harassment from certain people? Any final thoughts on that?
I just, I I'd like for them to think about what they're doing. That's really my thought. That's my final thought on that. I'd really like for them to think about what they're doing and how it affects you, your mom, I mean, particularly y'all too. It's so hurtful, and it takes so much energy out of the mission at hand, and that's finding Elisa. What happened to Elisa, that's what's important here. And no matter what they think, um, to they're welcome to think what they want. Sure, sure. I wish they would base it more on facts and evidence, but if if they want to think whatever happened happened, they can think that. But at the end of the day, for them to be so vocal about it and so um, really mean, the things they say generally are very, very mean
Man,
spirited. Um, that's my final thought is if, I don't know if they'll watch this or not. Just think about the way the family feels. Think about the way friends of Elisa feel, seeing that kind of thing. It what it does is it draws attention away from the case, not to the case. So I think maybe they should think about that, unless that's their purpose. I don't know. If that's their purpose, that they do a hell of a job.
yeah.
And that comes back to, I'm glad that you're able to cancel out the noise. Um, I'm glad that you're getting better at that. That's good. And that may be what it takes is, um, you taking that into your own hands instead of waiting on them to do the right thing. I mean, it's, I just want them to think about the way it makes y'all feel. It's not cool. Um,
Thank you, Vincent. Yes, you just have to, what Linda says is take control of the narrative now. You take control of
yeah,
it. And I think Shayna with Light the Way said, it's like a fire. Uh, don't give it any gasoline because the more you
yeah,
give it, that's their gasoline is your reaction. And so that kind of, helped me to ground myself and step away from it. So thank you. And I appreciate you. I appreciate your time and
absolutely.
I'm willing to
Anytime.
talk about Elisa's case. And thank you again for everything you do. And yeah, I hope we stay in contact. And I see you there in the background, and I still listen to my podcast. The different cases, and you do a great job.
Thank you. I appreciate that. I appreciate that. Yeah, we'll stay in touch. Anytime you need anything,
Okay.
just let me know.
Okay. Thank you so much, Vincent.
Absolutely. Thank you. I appreciate it. It's good talking to you.
Yeah, it's good talking to you too. Thank
Okay.
you.
Bye.
Bye bye.